Hmm? What's going on out here? Oh my god! What is that? What is that? I need to get back inside.
Imagine waking up before sunrise. The air is cold. Your fire has burned down to glowing ash. You step outside your shelter expecting to find the same world you saw yesterday. Instead, it has already changed. The berries you picked are gone. The animals have vanished beyond the hills. Even the stream nearby is beginning to dry. If you stay here another week, you might not eat at all. For almost 300,000 years, this was simply what it meant to be human. But here's the strange part. Ancient humans didn't just move because they wanted to explore. In many cases, staying in one place for too long was one of the most dangerous decisions they could make. And that raises a much bigger question. If humans are so good at building homes, cities, and civilizations, why did our species spend almost its entire existence refusing to stay in one place? The answer changes the way you think about what home really means. Around 300,000 years ago, the earliest known members of Homo sapiens appeared in Africa. Fossils discovered at Jebel Irhoud pushed our species' origins back much further than scientists once believed. But these people didn't live in villages. They didn't own land. They didn't wake up every morning expecting tomorrow to look the same. Instead, they lived as hunter-gatherers in groups that often numbered between 20 and 50 people. Anthropologists studying surviving hunter-gatherer societies have found that this size was small enough to share resources, but large enough to survive predators and harsh environments. Every day depended on movement. Plants ripened for only a short season. Animal herds migrated. Water sources changed with rainfall. Food wasn't stored in refrigerators or granaries. It existed wherever nature allowed it to exist. If the food moved, you moved. In 1968, American biologist John B. Calhoun created one of history's most unsettling experiments. He built what became known as Universe 25. Hundreds of mice were placed inside a perfect enclosure. Food was unlimited. Water never ran out. Predators didn't exist. Disease was controlled. Every physical need had already been solved. The mice never needed to migrate. At first, the population exploded. Then something unexpected happened. Social behavior collapsed. Aggression increased. Parents abandoned their young. Many healthy mice stopped reproducing altogether. Eventually, despite unlimited resources, the colony died out. Humans are obviously not mice. The experiment cannot predict human civilization, but it revealed something fascinating. Simply removing the need to move didn't automatically create a healthy society. Movement had always been part of survival itself. For ancient humans, remaining in one place wasn't comfort. It was risk. Archaeological evidence from sites like Olduvai Gorge tells a similar story. Stone tools appear in one layer, animal bones appear somewhere else. Seasonal camps emerge and disappear over thousands of years. Researchers rarely find permanent settlements from this period because permanence wasn't practical. Imagine hunting a herd of antelope. You finally succeed after days of tracking. The meat lasts perhaps a few days. Then what? The animals continue moving. If you stay behind, you slowly consume everything around you. Eventually, the land stops feeding you. Long before humans understood ecology, they were already living by its rules. Nature never stayed still. Neither could they. But food wasn't the only thing pushing people forward. There was another invisible force shaping every step our ancestors took. And unlike hunger, it followed them everywhere. That invisible force was climate. Not the weather you experience over a few days, but entire worlds changing over thousands of years. Around 2.6 million years ago, the Earth entered the Pleistocene epoch, better known as the Ice Age, transforming forests into grasslands, rivers into deserts, and coastlines into open plains. For ancient humans, the map of the world was never fixed. A familiar river could disappear. A coastline could move by kilometers. If your environment changed, your only real option was to change with it. One of the greatest examples lies beneath the sea. Around 20,000 years ago, during the last glacial maximum, sea levels were roughly 120 meters lower than they are today. That exposed an enormous land bridge known as Beringia. Today, the Bering Strait is covered by water. Back then, it was a vast landscape, stretching nearly 1,000 kilometers at its widest point. People didn't cross it because they dreamed of discovering a new continent. Most probably never realized they were entering one. They were simply following herds of mammoths, bison, and caribou that had been moving across the grasslands for generations, step by step, family by family. humans eventually reached North America. One of the greatest migrations in history may have begun with something as ordinary as searching for tomorrow's dinner. But here's where it gets stranger. Sometimes people weren't chasing food. Sometimes they were running from each other. Evidence from sites like Nataruk suggests that organized violence existed at least 10,000 years ago. Researchers uncovered skeletons showing broken bones, crushed skulls, and stone projectile injuries. Some victims appeared to have died with their hands bound. Conflict wasn't constant, but it was real. When resources became scarce, neighboring groups competed for the same rivers, hunting grounds, and seasonal plants. If another group controlled the valley where your family had always hunted, staying could mean starvation or death. Leaving often became the safer choice. Migration wasn't always a search for something better. Sometimes it was an escape from something worse. Disease created another reason to keep moving. Most deadly infectious diseases that affect humans today, such as measles and smallpox, didn't become widespread until people began living in large, permanent settlements thousands of years later. Small hunter-gatherer bands rarely stayed together long enough for many diseases to spread continuously. When groups moved frequently and remained relatively small, outbreaks often burned out before infecting everyone. Movement wasn't merely a response to danger. It was part of the reason our species survived. But then something happened that overturned a pattern humans had followed for hundreds of thousands of years. That turning point arrived around 12,000 years ago. Across parts of the Fertile Crescent, wild wheat and barley began growing in predictable seasons. For the first time, people noticed something remarkable. Instead of following food, they could grow it. Archaeological sites such as Jericho and Catalhoyuk reveal some of the earliest permanent settlements. Families built homes side by side. Populations grew into the hundreds and eventually the thousands. It was one of the most dramatic changes in human history. Now, staying still became the more rewarding one, but it came with a price. Permanent settlements created property. Property created inequality. Larger populations attracted disease. Stored food became something worth stealing. Organized farming demanded a completely different way of living. Instead of adapting to nature's schedule, people began forcing nature to adapt to theirs. In just a few thousand years, villages became towns. Towns became cities. Cities became kingdoms. The lifestyle that had defined humanity for almost 97% of its existence slowly became the exception instead of the rule. Yet traces of that ancient life never disappeared. In 1977, American biologist Edward O. Wilson described an idea called biophilia, the suggestion that humans possess an innate attraction to the natural world because our minds evolved within it. Studies consistently show that spending time in forests, parks, and other natural environments can reduce stress hormones, improve attention, and support mental well-being. Your brain was built in landscapes, not skylines. Even today, many people feel restless after spending weeks indoors. Long road trips feel strangely satisfying. Mountain trails seem calming, even when they're physically exhausting. Travel often feels exciting before it feels tiring. These reactions may not be accidents. They could be echoes of a life your ancestors lived for hundreds of thousands of years. Genetic evidence tells the same story. Every population on Earth today descends from people who kept moving. Those who crossed deserts. Those who followed rivers. Those who climbed mountain passes. Those who walked across frozen grasslands into continents they could never have imagined. Your family history is not just a list of names. It is the result of thousands of successful journeys made by people who chose, or were forced, to take one more step. If even a handful of those migrations had ended differently, you would never have existed. Today, most people wake up in the same house, drive the same roads, work in the same buildings, sleep in the same room every night. It feels normal. But for almost all of human history, that routine would have been unimaginable. Home wasn't a building, it wasn't an address, it wasn't even a destination. Home was wherever your group could survive one more day. So perhaps the better question isn't why ancient humans couldn't stay in one place. It's why, after 300,000 years of following the horizon, you expect to.